The House will come to order. Today's Pledge of Allegiance is by Eric Eastwood, William Eastwood, and they're from Bromley East Charter School in Brighton, Colorado, and their guests are Representative Covarrubias.
Will you please join us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Representatives Arndt.
Excuse.
Becker J. Becker K. Beckman. Benavides. Bridges. Buck. Buckner. Buckner.
Excuse.
Oh, Representative Buckner is present. Carver. Catlin. Coleman. Covarrubias. Danielson. Escar. Everett. Exum. Foote. Garnett. Chenal. Gray. Hamner. Hamner.
Excuse.
Hanson. Harrod. Putin. Humphrey. Representative Hamner is present. Humphrey. Jackson. Kennedy. Kraft Tharp. Landgraf. Lawrence. Lee. Leonard. Lewis.
Excuse.
Liston. Lontine. Lundeen. McKean. McLaughlin. Melton. Michelson Janae. Neville. Hobone. Hobone. Representative Arndt is present. Pedersen. Rankin. Ransom. Breyer. Roberts. Rosenthal. Sane. Salazar. Sandridge. Sias. Singer. Thurlow. Valdez.
Good morning, Colorado.
Van Winkle. Weissman. Willett. Willett. Williams. Wilson. Wilson. Winter. Wist. Young. Madam Speaker.
Here.
So it's just Lewis?
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the reading of the Journal of Friday, March 16, 2018 be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
All right, and we do have a quorum. There's 63 present and 1 excused and 1 vacancy. Members, you've heard the motion. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. No. That motion passes. Announcements and introductions. Representative Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. We have a tribute today. Thanks for your time this morning. I'm grateful for the privilege and the honor to give a tribute to a true servant of the people of Denver with this memorial tribute to my friend and Denver's premier urban designer, Mr. Ron Straka. And I would ask Mr. Randall if you'll read our memorial tribute.
The House of Representatives convened in the 71st General Assembly hereby extends sincere condolences and expressions of sympathy to the Straka family on the passing of Ronald Straka. The state of Colorado has lost an exceptional citizen with the passing of Mr. Ronald Straka. Mr. Straka was a well-known architect whose ability and vision allowed him to leave his artistic mark on the city of Denver and the state of Colorado. He was active in many projects around the city that we all enjoy today, such as the revitalization of Lower Downtown, the I-70 corridor, Platte Valley, and Union Station. He served as Denver's Deputy Director of Urban Design for the Federico Pena administration's Imagine a Great City movement, which was the impetus for our city's current renaissance. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to recognize Mr. Straka's considerable achievements, send our heartfelt condolences to his family and friends on their tremendous loss, and express our gratitude for his many years of dedicated service to his community. On request of Representative Timothy Leonard, give this 19th day of March 2018 State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members. You may be seated. I'll just have a few minutes of your time today to honor someone who's touched all of your lives, especially those in Denver, and especially our speaker whose district Mr. Straka was so involved in. Like Superman saving the world without anyone knowing it, Ron Straka changed the landscape of the city and county of Denver unbeknownst to its new residents. For over 30 years, Ron spent every minute making Denver a great city to work, live, and play. He was passionate about giving every occupant of Denver a wonderful place to call home. Ron passed away just 3 days after Christmas at his home with his family at the age of 80, and he worked just about right up till then. On the screen are photos of what I consider Ron's greatest accomplishment, the design and creation of the magnificent Central Platte Valley. From a huge rail yard owned by the largest railroad company in Denver, Burlington Northern, now a vibrant community that Ron envisioned, designed, and watched transform for 26 years. When I met Ron 28 years ago, I was working in the city's real estate office. I was honored to work 4 years with Ron, solving all of the real estate challenges that his urban designs caused. For 7 years, Ron was Denver's first deputy director of urban design, thanks to then Mayor Federico Pena. He kept his hands covered in magic marker colors as he designed many of Denver's most significant places, including the entire Central Platte Valley. He located the new Coors baseball stadium in Lodo. He expanded the convention center and selected architects for the beautiful Denver Library and Denver Art Museum that we enjoy so much today. Like all great visionaries, Ron surrounded himself with a great team of competent professionals, or should I say, they surrounded Ron for his magnificent ability to see something that was not yet present to the rest of us. There are folks in this chamber this morning that worked with Ron to transform this city. They are wonderful friends of Ron's because he brought out the best in people, both professionally and personally. Frank Gray, Denver's director of planning at the time, and Marilee Utter, the city's real estate director, worked with Ron every day on figuring out how to trade and buy land from a Seattle developer who had the entire rail yard property under contract, contingent on working with the city to plan something spectacular. Before this massive transaction was finalized, they worked with Elitch Gardens to move them from their location that they had occupied for 104 years to a parcel that Ron drew just for them. Ron had drawn and named every street, drew every parcel for office buildings and residential high-rises, planned each park and walkway, and even located sculpture pieces. He connected it with the growing Lodo and planned for Union Station to become the crown jewel of a multimodal headquarters. After his years with the city, Ron went back to the private sector, still working on public projects, the bigger, the better, like Denver's first transit-oriented development, which replaced Cinderella City, the massive I-70 corridor viaduct replacement project, and even the transformation of downtown Castle Rock. Ron was a tireless worker because he cared so much about people that he would never meet. Each one of us enjoys his genius without ever knowing the long hours and the perfection he strove for. And today is a fitting day to recognize him, the Feast of St. Joseph, for Ron was like a father and a mentor to many of us. We will miss him. Madam Speaker, there are folks on the floor that I would like to recognize from Ron's family and a close circle of true friends.
Okay, please do. Representative Leonard.
Thank you. If you can stand. Rob Straka, his son, Cece, his wife, and Carl, his grandson, Nancy, and also his daughter, and her husband Buck, and nephew Chris. Mary Sue is in Michigan, so she's watching us today. There's also Frank Gray, Marilee and Harry Utter, David and Stephanie Triba, Mike Lemaire, Larry Gibson, Dennis Humphreys, Gene Townsend, and Ruth Rodriguez. All good friends, thank you so much for your service to the great city of Denver and your friendship to Ron.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Representative Leonard. Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor and a pleasure to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, too.
Thank you. So, members, we have some very special guests from House District 9 from Southeast Denver. And one of the things as a teacher I try to do every year is to make sure that we recognize the excellence of Denver Public Schools, as well as the teachers and principals and parents, but especially the students of the schools who are in, not just in my district, but around our state. And so I have some students and their parents and teachers and principals from Southeast Denver and also the school that I work at, Ridgeview Academy. My students and et cetera are up in the gallery, but the students of these schools in Southeast Denver are along here, along the wall, and I'm asking you to stand. And I'd like to recognize you as stellar students, people who exhibit excellence in academics, but also leadership and character and showing care and concern and helping other students. And so I applaud you, and I'm asking the members to please applaud for all these wonderful folks who are here today. Thank you. And please stand for us. Thank you. Please stand. Stand. Up. There we go. All right. Good job, guys. Go Rams. Thank you.
Further announcements or introductions? Representative Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, today I am very excited because we have some of the best teachers from our state today. They are fellows in the Teach Plus Colorado State Policy Fellowship who are here today. These teachers are from rural, suburban, and urban charter and traditional schools, two of whom sit on the Commissioner's Teacher Advisory Group. These educators are currently working with policymakers around school finance, teacher leadership, alternatives to suspension and expulsions for pre-K and second graders, and the teacher shortage. They are here today to meet with us and bring educator voice to our work so that we can make sure we can provide an education for our children that is the best and possible can be. And with them is my best friend in the whole world and one of the best science and middle school teachers today, Sarah Lemon, and so please welcome her.
That'll be a $1 fine. Welcome to the Capitol. Further announcements or introductions? Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I would like to recognize a group that's here from Chaffee County, the Chaffee County Entrepreneurial Leadership Program. Over here on my right, I wish that I could introduce their leader and sponsor, Wendell Pryor, but I can't do that because I'd be fined. But I would like to welcome them to the chamber. Please rise and be recognized, folks. Thank you for being here.
Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Also, colleagues, on your desk, the announcement about Capital Commission. We have our Bible study prayer group meeting tomorrow morning downstairs. Excellent food, excellent fellowship, and as things get really tough, we also pray for one another, and Lord knows we need it. So please be there.
Thank you, Representative Wilson. Also, that will be $1 fine. Welcome to the Capitol. Thank you for joining us today. Further announcements or introductions? Further announcements or introductions? Going once, going twice. Seeing no further announcements or introductions, that does take us to third reading of bills. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1259.
House Bill 1259 by Representative Gray, Senator Marable, concerning providing marijuana samples to employees for business purposes.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1259 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of House Bill 1259 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Hooton, please vote. Please close the machine. With With 46 yes votes, 17 no votes, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, House Bill 1259 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 173.
Senate Bill 173 by Senator Gardner, House of Representatives, concerning the ability of certain establishments licensed to sell alcohol beverages for on-premise consumption. The served food to allow a customer to remove one open container of partially consumed finance liquor from the licensed premises.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 173 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is passage of Senate Bill 173 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 63 yes votes, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 173 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 82.
Senate Bill 82 by Senator Zenzinger, also Representative Kennedy, concerning the physician's right to provide continuing code of patients with rare disorders by the covenant not to compete.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 82 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is passage of Senate Bill 82 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 49 yes votes, 14 no votes, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 82 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 131.
Senate Bill 131 by Senator Tate, also Representative Hooten, concerning modifications to State Employees Group Benefits Act.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 131 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 131 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Buck, Buckner, Gray, please vote. Please close the machine. With 62 yes votes, 1 no vote, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 131 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 90.
Senate Bill 90 by Senators Zenzinger, also Representative Hooten, concerning modernization of language and statutory sections concerning rights of married women.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 90 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 90 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 62 yes votes, 1 no vote, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 90 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Ms. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 95.
Senate Bill 95 by Senators Zenzinger, Martinez, and Domenic, also Representative Hooten and McKean, concerning the removal of statutory references to the marital status of parents of a child.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 95 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 95 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Humphrey, Representative Breyer, Representative Humphrey. Please close the machine. With 63 yes votes, 0 no votes, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 95 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 98.
Senate Bill 98 by Senators Tate and Zenzinger, also Representative Hooten and Thurlow, concerning amending a statutory provision relating to interest on damages that are ruled unconstitutional by the Colorado Supreme Court.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For the Hooten Grand Slam, I move for the passage of Senate Bill 98 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of Senate Bill 98 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Wilson. Please close the machine. With 63 yes votes, 0 no votes, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 98 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 135.
Senate Bill 135 by Senators Gardner, also Carver, and Lee, concerning updates to the Colorado Code of Military Justice.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 135 on third reading and final passage.
Question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 135 on third reading and final passage. Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Hooton, please close the machine. With 63 yes votes, 0 no votes, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, Senate Bill 135 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Ms. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1249.
House Bill 1249 by Representative Rankin, Senator Lumber, concerning the requirement the state treasurer distribute any federal funds related to the naval oil shale reserve land to specified counties or for their federal mineral lease districts.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1249 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is the passage of House Bill 1249 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Representative Hooton, Representative Humphrey, please vote. Please close the machine. With 62 yes votes, 1 no vote, 1 excuse, and 1 vacancy, House Bill 1249 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. All right, that takes us to general order, second reading of bills. Representative Singer. All right, members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Singer will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and will not be read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the Majority Leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you quiet it down? Can you just quiet it down?
Members, please take your side conversations to the side. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to proceed out of order for the immediate consideration of House Bill 1293.
Seeing no objection, we will immediately consider House Bill 1293. Madam Speaker. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1293.
House Bill 1293 by Representatives Duran and Neville, Law Senators Grantham and Guzman, concerning payment of expenses of the Legislative Department.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1293. There's no committee report.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1293? Seeing none. All those in favor of House Bill 12... Madam Speaker.
Whoa, that was fast. I move L001 and ask that it be displayed.
L001 has been moved and is properly displayed to the amendment, Madam Speaker.
All right, thank you, Representative Singer and members. This is to add CSG back into the legislative appropriations budget. They typically charge us $174,000. They have reduced our fees down to $135,000. I do ask for your support. This morning, it came to my attention that there are some members who do not know what CSG is, and so for anybody who is working with CSG or the organization themselves, there's an educational opportunity to let more people know what you do and what some of the resources that are available to legislators. I ask for your support of L001.
Further discussion on the amendment, Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I do appreciate the Speaker and our staff's ability to get a better price, negotiated price from CSG, but I myself, I won't be supporting the amendment. I think that this is better off privately funded rather than government funded.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of L001. Is everyone in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. L001 passes. To the bill, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I ask for your support of HB 1293.
Is there any further discussion, Mr. Minority? Nope. Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1293. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. House Bill 1293 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1156.
House Bill 1156, Representative Lee, Senator Holbrook, concerning limitations on penalties for truancy.
Representative Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1156 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the committee report, Representative Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Judiciary Committee report was almost a strike below, but not quite. It added a legislative declaration describing what we're doing in the bill, which is basically to limit the use of incarceration and detention for juveniles to very, very, very limited circumstances. It provides that detention can be only for 48 hours, not for 5 days. And there was a second amendment to provide that a youth picked up for failure to appear must be eligible for a PR bond. I also have an amendment to the Judiciary Committee report.
Would you like to move the amendment, Representative Lee?
I move Amendment 010 to the Judiciary Committee report.
All right, L010 has been moved and is properly displayed to the amendment, Representative Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What the amendment does is provide that Senate Bill 94 supporting services are available to a delinquent who is being reviewed by the court. What the court is concerned about is kids that are habitually truant. They usually have some underlying issues, home issues, and this provides some money to assess and treat the issues. I ask for an aye vote on the amendment L010.
Is there any further discussion on amendment L010? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Amendment L010. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. L010 passes. Representative Lee.
Thank you. The bill, in fact, is a change to the way we treat juveniles who have been truant. In the past, we have, under certain circumstances, put them in secure detention. What all of the research, all of the information about truancy is that the worst thing to do to a truant is to put them in jail. What these kids need is treatment, and what this bill does is provide an opportunity for treatment. The bill has the support of the Colorado Association of School Boards. There was no opposition to the bill in committee. The Juvenile Defender Center, the ACLU, the Office of Child's Representatives, Alternative Defense Council, Disability Law Center, the Office of the State Protection Ombudsman, the Colorado Education Association, all supported the bill. I ask for an aye vote on the bill as amended.
All right, I believe we're still on the committee report. Representative Weissman.
Sure, thank you. And I just want to commend the sponsor, Rep. Lee, and also Rep. Lundin for all the work on this. We had a robust discussion in committee. I do believe the committee report resolved some of the issues that had been lingering. The premise of the report and the bill is that we should limit the use of this practice, that we should treat kids like kids and not criminals. Members, if you look at the data, you will see that even a single use of detention has profound impacts in increasing the risk of future suspension, future intersection with the criminal justice system. Those are not appropriate outcomes. They are outcomes that we should avoid. Another reason that motivates me to come down here and speak in support, if you look at the utilization of these practices, they are profoundly skewed toward an overrepresentation of students of color. So I think this bill is especially important in that respect, and I urge support on the committee report and the bill as amended. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Representative Arndt. Oh, okay. Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Judiciary report passes. To the bill. Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members. I just want to speak in strong support of this as this former teacher of special needs students, especially students with behavior disorders. Truancy also often occurs when there's an issue in the home and it's not the fault of the student. A lot of times they're taking care of their parents or other kids, and sometimes they're taking care of themselves, so they don't need more punishment. What they need is more help. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion on the bill? Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just want to say there's a lot of things about this bill that are fantastic. I've heard both sides of the story on this where it has been overused, but in other instances I've also heard from some of our judges, some of these kids actually after having that kind of discipline started going back to school again, and they needed that extra outside discipline to return to the school activity. So I'm a little conflicted on this bill at the moment, but I appreciate Representative Leanne bringing it.
Further discussion, Representative Willett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Sane, for opening the door to at least some discussion on this bill. I was the sole no vote, and it was a very hard vote, I will say, and I want to give credit to the sponsor and the committee for bringing this important bill. The most knowledgeable witness we heard from was a judge from El Paso County who specializes in this area. And she was speaking on behalf of judiciary, so she had to carefully say, we are neutral on the bill. But having said that, she went on to express some very big concerns about any further impediments to a judge to not be able to arrest a very troubled young person. She specifically mentioned she'd only used this 10 times, but what she pointed out was the one time she did not use it and the horrible results. The grandparents urged an arrest, some other relatives did. She was not able, because of certain hurdles in her way as a judge, could not arrest the young girl. Later, very shortly thereafter, that young girl and another couple of misdirected youth were involved in a double homicide. Her point was, the more hurdles you put in front of a judge on this kind of a very difficult issue, the more risk to public safety. So this is a trade-off, folks, and the question is, do we think we know more in the legislature than our judges do who serve in this very difficult role, and do we want to put more hurdles in front of their ability to deal with the really worst cases? That was the reason I voted no. It was a very tough call, well-intentioned bill, but I want to trust my jurists more than I do want to put more hurdles in front of them on these tough cases. Thank you.
Further discussion, Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In Weld County, folks, we struggled so hard to try to correct the wrongs of truancy, and it was a real problem. And so our magistrate judge requested for the kids to be picked up, and the recidivism rate went down. They actually went to school. It was, in so many positive ways, it worked for Weld County. So unfortunately, I cannot support this bill. I understand maybe for other counties, but that's what I don't care for down in the legislature, is a one-size-fits-all. And it definitely doesn't work for Weld County. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Representative Herod.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I just want to bring us back to the bill a little bit. This bill is about truancy. It's about kids skipping school. I think when we think about put a little bit of common sense on top of this measure, do we want kids who are skipping school to be then also arrested and then put out of school? Or do we want them to be able to go through maybe a restorative justice practice, maybe talk to their principal, maybe work through within their school and with their peers to figure out why they are truant and how we can get them to come back to school? I think taking them out of the school setting through law enforcement and putting them into our detention centers is the wrong way to go. It costs way too much money, and it is not effective in reducing truancy. What it is effective in, though, members, is ensuring that people who are low income and people of color continue to be disproportionately treated by the system. Overall, 49% of youth who are truant are on free and reduced lunch. However, truant youth that are found and who are brought to justice under this bill, 88% of them qualify for free and reduced lunch. 70% of them are youth of color, while on the state overall, truant youth are only 46% of that number. So, members, if you want to look at the numbers, you need to look at who this bill is truly impacting, and is there a better way to deal with truancy in the system than putting them into the criminal justice system, paying a lot more money of our taxpayer dollars to keep them out of school? Or should we have them do something different? Can we treat truant youth a different way? Can we bring them back into the school system and ensure they don't get set further and further behind so they actually have an opportunity to exceed? Members, I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion, Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move HB 1156L011 and ask that it be read, or not read, sorry. Ask that it be displayed.
We can all read, but yes, we will. L011 has been moved and is properly displayed. Representative Buck, if you'd like to discuss the amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have to tell you, I have spoken to the people in Weld County that believe in what we need for Weld County. And I have tremendous respect for Representative Lee. And he is absolutely one of the best for juvenile and restorative justice and those things. But in Weld County, folks, this is a tool that works. This is a tool that took us so long to get in place. And I ask that you support Amendment 011. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, colleagues, I ask for a no vote on this amendment. Weld County was one of 4 jurisdictions in the state that still jails kids for truancy. They jailed 4 kids last year. So this bill does not preclude them from engaging in detention for truancy. It just limits the circumstances under which they can do it. I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I apologize. I should have explained what this amendment does. It allows counties just to opt out. Counties and county or city and the county determine such sanctions. So I ask for an aye on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Melton. All right, Representative Melton takes it past. Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is passage of L011. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. L011 fails. To the bill. Is there any further discussion? Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I rise in strong support of House Bill 1156. So often we talk about the pipeline to prison. Well, members, this is the soffit. By having these kids be taken out of school and placed into detention facilities for truancy is exactly how they end up on a path that ends them with a criminal background and in jails. Members, this bill is extremely important for communities across this state to ensure that students are being given a chance to actually get an education as opposed to incarceration. And so for that, members, I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1156? Representative Ryer.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. I rise in strong opposition to this because our young people have learned, because they've kind of followed the path, that there are no consequences. Truancy is a big deal. It becomes a habit. If it's easy the first time, why not second, third, fourth, and fifth? They have to learn that they are in school, they're to stay in school. Getting picked up and thrown in a detention center might scare them into going back to school. We are allowing our children to become too used to being allowed to get away with just about everything they want to get away with. Truancy is just one more of those things. I am going to vote no.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1156? Representative Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is no doubt that truancy, particularly in the form that it takes with the kids that we're talking about under this bill, is a harbinger of more serious misconduct. The question, however, is, though, how do we respond to it? The use of detention, incarceration, jail for truancy is a wholly discredited practice. If a kid is detained in an incarceration facility as a result of truancy, they are 14.5 times more likely to end up quitting school than another kid who is truant and who did not go into a detention facility. So the idea of using truancy to improve things is incorrect, erroneous, and wrong. I ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1156? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is passage of House Bill 1156. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1156 passes. Mr. Randall, please read. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1007 till March 26th.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1007 will be laid over until March 26th. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1104.
House Bill 1104, Representative Danielson, concerning family preservation safeguards for parents with disabilities.
Madam Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1104 and the committee report.
To the committee report. Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did a lot of work in the Public Health and Human Services Committee to make sure that we tightened up the language to ensure that House Bill 1104 only pertained to parents with a disability and their ability to continue to parent their children. So I urge an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of the Public Health Care and Human Services Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Committee report passes. To the bill, Madam Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much, members, for your attention this morning. I bring you House Bill 1104, which guarantees family preservation for people with disabilities. Currently, one's disability is being used against them in custody cases, so that could be a divorce or when a person is seeking adoption or foster care. And we are hoping to pass this important legislation to make sure that that kind of discrimination against people with disabilities stops. This is a measure that will help keep families together and help make sure that when a person with a disability goes into a custody case, that disability is not used against them in the case, meaning a parent's ability to parent is what they should be judged alone on, not whether or not they have a disability. So for the rights of disabled Coloradans all over the state, and more importantly, for the well-being of the children that they need to continue to parent, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1104.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1104? Seeing none, the question before the body is passage of House Bill 1104. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. House Bill 1104 passes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 99.
Senate Bill 99 by Senators Merrifield and Priol, also Representatives Pedersen and Wilson, concerning alignment of early childhood quality improvements programs with the Colorado Shines Quality Rating and Improvement System.
Representative
Did we lose Pedersen?
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're currently, there's, great.
Great speech, Madam Majority Leader. All right. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Madam Majority Leader. I appreciate the brevity of that last speech. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 18099. There is no committee report.
All right. To the bill. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for hearing this bill. This bill is brought to you courtesy of the Early Childhood and School Readiness Legislative Commission that met over the summer. Senate Bill 18099 is an alignment of early childhood improvement programs with the Colorado Shines program. Colleagues, our world has changed. I know we would like to have our families be like it was in Harriet times when one member of the family would work, the other one would take care of the children, but that horse left the barn a long time ago. This particular bill emphasizes and it focuses upon the fact that 90% of the brain development occurs before a child's first day of kindergarten, and that famous third grade reading level piece that we wrestle with, by the age of 3, we can predict whether or not they will be able to read at that third grade level. This bill simply does 3 things. Number 1, it renames the School Readiness Quality Improvement Program to the Colorado Shines Quality Rating and Improvement System, which is known as Colorado Shines. That system has a rating system of 5 levels. Once you have an approved program, you're at level 2, and you can go ahead and move towards level 5. Second of all, it updates the application requirements for local early childhood councils for funding, and I emphasize that that's for your local childhood. This is not at the state level. And third, it eliminates obsolete language and aligns statutory provisions concerning grant programs and local early childhood councils. The really 2 good parts of this bill: 1, it increases government efficiency. Let me repeat that. It increases government efficiency, and there is no fiscal note. I recommend an aye vote on Senate Bill 18099.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 99? Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Wilson, for bringing this bill. Also, Representative Pedersen for bringing this bill Senate Bill 009. Throughout all the communities in House District 62, this is essential for our youth. From infancy on up, for individuals to learn information and absorb for the development of their brain, the development of their body. At that early age, it is crucial. It is essential. That early childhood development system will ensure school readiness for our youth in all communities. For the communities in southern Colorado, for the schools in Antonito, the schools in La Jara, the schools in Alamosa, the schools in San Luis, the schools in Fort Garland, the schools in Saguache County, the schools in Huerfano County, and the schools in Pueblo, and the schools in Mineral County, which encompass House District 62 in southern Colorado. But most importantly, this will ensure for all communities, for our youth, for early childhood development. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 99? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 99. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Senate Bill 99 passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 126 1 week till March 26th.
Seeing no objection, Senate Bill 126 will be laid over until March 26th. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 160.
Senate Bill 160 by Senator Lambert, House Representative Hamner, concerning the authority to operate certain teacher development programs in connection with establishing alternative licensure programs and induction programs.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 160. There are no committee reports.
To the bill, Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a cleanup for charter schools to be able to offer their own new teacher induction program. They were inadvertently left out of the original statute, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 160? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 160. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Senate Bill 160 passes. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 104 one day.
Seeing no objection, Senate Bill 104 will be laid over one day. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great job today. I move the committee rise and report.
Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
House will come to order. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your committee of the whole begins with a report as shows the following catch bills being in the second reading. There makes following recommendations. There on House Bill 1104 is amended. House Bill 1156 amended. House Bill 1293 is amended. Passed third reading and goes to place content for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 99, Senate Bill 160 passes second reading and revised. Place content for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 104 laid over until March 20, 2018, retaining its place on the calendar. House Bill 1007, Senate Bill 126 laid over until March 26, 2018, retaining their place on the calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Randall. Representative Singer. All right, members, you have heard the motion. There is an amendment at the desk, and it's concerning me and the Minority Leader's bill. So, Madam Speaker Pro Tem will take the chair.
Representative Sane. Mr. Randall, please read the amendment.
Representative Sane moved to amend the report of the committee, hold to reverse the action taken by the committee in adopting the following Duran Amendment, L001 to House Bill 1293 to show that said amendment lost and that House Bill 1293 passed.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the same amendment to the Committee of the Whole. And ask that it be displayed.
The amendment has been moved and is properly displayed. Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'm running this amendment because if we want to make Colorado affordable again, let's start with the legislature. We are spending taxpayer money for what ends up being taxpayer-subsidized trips to fancy resorts and exotic locations like Alaska. The public perception alone ought to be enough to vote yes on this amendment. But when I heard the number of positions on CSG West are currently unfilled, it tells me that we are not taking this seriously. And these are real dollars. They should go to other programs that need it. I urge a yes vote.
Is there further discussion? Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I urge a no vote on this amendment to the Committee of the Whole. Council of State Governments West in particular is a very important institution for this body. I personally serve as Vice Chair of Ag and Water Committee and have for the last year and a half and will for the next half a year. That's where Western legislators get together to talk about Western issues such as the sage grouse, special water considerations, things that pertain only to Western legislators. That's one. Number two, CSG sponsors the Western Leadership Academy that many of us have been to. It's a bipartisan, bipartisan leadership group that meets in the, you can apply to be accepted to in the first 4 years. So it's for new legislators learning how to work together. And it was one of the best things they did. They also sponsored the Toll Fellowship Program, which is not just for legislators, but it's for elected officials from all over the country to have a week-long intensive learning opportunity and extend our leadership. I don't know about you all, but I've never had a job in my life where when I came in, I got no job training. I mean, I got a three-week freshman orientation, but I had no professional opportunity.
Representative Arndt, excuse me.
Thank you. I've never taken a new role in my life where I had absolutely no professional development opportunities, and the ones that were available to me when I started saying, can I go do this and attend this to make myself better in the water world, people say, sure, how, you're going to pay for that. And I was like, what? CSG West is unique in that they offer these opportunities and they often offer leadership. I'm a full-on support of that, and I am a no on this amendment to the Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, we have schools, roads, and bridges that could use this money more than some faraway group. I urge you to vote yes on this amendment. Let's keep this money in Colorado and away from some faraway group.
Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I also strongly urge support for the Council of State Governments appropriation. We've been a member of this organization, I think, from the 1930s. They do tremendous work all over the country, and in fact, we are about to initiate a significant partnership with them to take an overall look at our juvenile justice and child welfare systems. They will be coming into Colorado, bringing people and resources, analytical and policy expertise to look at how to make our systems better. This will be at no charge to us, and it would be a bit of a black eye, quite frankly, for us to not approve this appropriation for the Council of State Government. This is one of the highest level functioning organizations to help legislators do their jobs. And so I urge support for this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Kraftharp.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. So I'm in strong opposition to this amendment. I was part of the WLA Academy my first year with many folks. I think Representative Buck, you were in my class with me the first, oh no, you were in the second class. I don't remember, but I mean, Representative Jadal. So what it does is when you start out as a freshman, everybody tells you that we work in a bipartisan fashion, we try to work together, but this is really seeing it in action, and this is really seeing, you know, helping you learn about what do you do as a legislator, how do you come together with folks, no matter what party they are, how do you think in a very comprehensive, thoughtful manner. And this was one of the best experiences that I had in preparing me to be a legislator, and it would be a shame for Colorado to not be instrumental in this, as well as this happens in Colorado. They bring people in from all over to Colorado for this. So I think being a member of CSG is one of the best things that we have to prepare us and to be able to help us be good legislators. So I hope that we don't give up this opportunity. Thank you.
Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And members, I've also participated in the Western Legislative Academy and the Toll Fellows Program, and I currently sit as the chair of the West Trent's Board for CSG. That is where the Western states, the CSG West group of CSG, is actually one of the most beneficial groups that we could all participate in. That is where all the Western states that have shared interests, whether it's transportation, water, immigration, public funding of different resources, that is probably the most beneficial group that you could all be involved in. And this is an association that makes sure that they are always bipartisan. They alternate leadership positions between Republican and Democrat because they want to make sure that they're hearing from both sides of the aisle on every issue that they address. That's something that I haven't seen in other organizations, and it's something that they hold very dearly when they talk about training legislators and other public officials. As you heard a few moments ago, the Toll Fellowship isn't just for representatives and senators. It's for people in every level of government. When I went through that program, we had judges there, we had staff from governor's offices, we had representatives, senators, we had folks from all branches of government, and it was so helpful to hear their input, to hear how things work in different states. And maybe we could take things that are working well there and bring it back to Colorado. And especially when you're talking about Western states, because we have unique situations and unique things that only we can address. When you're talking about public lands and the fact that the majority of the Western states are under federal control on our public lands, that gives us some wonderful opportunities to have discussions on how we craft policy and how we work with the citizens of these states to make sure that we're representing them well and that we're meeting the needs of the citizens of every Western state. So I think membership in CSG and CSG West is probably the premier organization, and it is worth our money, and it is worth everyone's time in this chamber and in the other chamber that we try not to wake them up for. But for them to be as involved as possible, you're going to learn a lot. It is a great way to improve your skills as a legislator and a representative of the people of Colorado. So I would ask that you support CSG and oppose this amendment.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree with Representative Lawrence on this. I also did the Western Legislative Academy, and I did the Henry Toll Fellowship. And that fellowship is probably the most educational thing I've done since I've been here. And I did the Harvard, so you would think that would top anything. But one thing she didn't mention are the people that you do meet and you stay in touch with. When I did the Henry Toll, I met a judge from New York, and we still communicate. And I met the man who was in charge of the emergency response to the Boston Marathon bombing. Those opportunities are invaluable, and they do give you insight into issues that you can bring back. I've learned about legislation to carry, and frankly, people have picked up legislation that I've carried and taken it to their states. That wouldn't happen if we didn't have those resources. So I think we should continue with CSG, and I also agree that there are organizations that are not nonpartisan that do become partisan, and there's probably organizations, if we were not going to fund them all, that we would be better off dropping than this one. So thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, and members, for those of you that missed the conversation earlier when Minority Leader Neville was here, the amendment that was put into the bill on second reading, there was a reduction of fees of $39,000. That was worked out with CSG, and just to clarify, vote no on this amendment if you want CSG to continue to provide resources to the legislature. Vote yes if you don't want to fund CSG. So once again, there has been a discount of $39,000. That has been the compromise that has been found so that many of our members can continue to get training and resources so they are able to do their job effectively. I ask for a no vote.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. So members, I just want to let you know this is the Minority Leader's bill as well. He does agree with this amendment, and I would wholeheartedly agree with my colleagues if it was, as somebody put it, our money. This doesn't preclude you from actually joining CSG West and using your money to receive this training. In addition, we have two other fantastic organizations in CSL, and we also have the American Legislative Exchange Council, which also provides that training that we need to do our job as legislators. So again, back to the public perception, this is taxpayer subsidized, these trips. We can certainly pay for that on our own, but also I just don't see this body, again, I'll repeat this, taking this seriously. If we don't have these positions filled, this should be one of the ones we drop and put that money to good use for some of these other projects. Thank you. And vote yes.
Is there any further discussion on this amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the Sane amendment to the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Winter, Representative Willett, Representative Ryer, Representative Pabon, Representative McKean, Representative Catlin, Representative Beckman. Please vote. Representative Beckman. Please close the machine. With 23 aye, 39 no, 2 excused, and 1 vacant, the amendment fails. If there are no further amendments, the question before us is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
Thank you, ma'am. Representative Pedersen and Representative Willett, please vote. Please close the machine. With 58 yes votes, 4 no votes, 2 excused, 1 vacancy, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. All right. I believe we are going to announcements and introductions. Madam Majority Leader Becker. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar.
All right, seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over. Further announcements or introductions? Any further announcements or introductions? I have a couple. Representative Singer will replace Representative Pedersen on the Education Committee today only. Representative Landgraf will replace Representative Lewis on the Ag Committee. Further announcements or introductions? Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, we have a tribute today to a very important person who's meant a lot to Colorado, and his name's Eric Wilkinson, and he is the head of Northern Water, and he is actually retiring. So, Mr. Connor, would you please read the tribute at length? Members, please listen.
The House of Representatives convened in the 71st General Assembly hereby extends sincere commendations to Eric Wilkinson. Eric Wilkinson is retiring as General Manager of the Northern Colorado Water Conservancy District following over 3 decades of service. As one of the smartest water minds in the state of Colorado, Mr. Wilkinson was a recipient of the 2011 Aspinall Award given by the Colorado Water Congress to Colorado's Water Leader of the Year. He was included as one of Colorado's most powerful people in the January 2008 edition of Colorado Biz. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to pay tribute to Eric Wilkinson on his retirement and recognize his lifetime commitment to water quality and quantity in the state of Colorado and the contributions that he has made over the years. On request of Representative Jenny Art, given this 19th day of March 2018, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members. And I'm going to get all emotional, but it's hard to really say how much this man has meant to water quality, water quantity, and planning. I'd like to also recognize his wife, Janice. And then I know you get tired of me saying this because you think I went to high school with everyone, but Eric Wilkinson did go to my high school. And once you start, I'm just going to be biased, once you start at Poudre High, you know how to reach out and work with people and care about them. He's also one of the kindest men I've ever met, and we really appreciate you, your family, your work, and we're not going to let you go.
Further discussion, Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'll add a little bit to this because I served on the Loveland City Council for 7 years. And in that time, what we were trying to do is figure out the future for our city, as we all do here for the state. One of the most crucial elements of figuring out the future of our city on behalf of our citizens was having genuine, honest, good partners. There has never been a more genuine, a more honest, or a better partner in the world of providing what our citizens have to have. So Eric, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the institution you truly have molded and created over these years. And we're going to miss you terribly, but you've created an institution that will go on and do the right things. And I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Further discussion? Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. and Mrs. Wilkins, please stand and stand tall for all the water contributions and water aspects you've done for the state of Colorado. Thank you.
Representative Buck.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would be remiss if I didn't get an opportunity also to say what an incredible human being is. As a leader, as a statesman, I mean, we would love to see you run for office, sir. You are just an outstanding person to work with. Your wife is absolutely lovely. So we will truly miss you, but hopefully you will not go far, because we will continue to seek out your leadership and your direction and your wisdom on water. You are just a true asset to this state of Colorado. So thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Representative Buck. Representative Catlin, you can't say encouraging people to run for office in the well. That will be a $1 fine. Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
Honor to serve with you, too.
It may seem a little odd that somebody from the Western Slope would compliment someone from the Eastern Slope on their water skills. But I want you to know that the man that we are honoring today, Eric Wilkerson, is a giant among the water business. Look at how tall he is. I mean, that's part of it. I've known the man since I started in the water business. He has always been straightforward, forthcoming, and always presented his ideas as those that were good for his constituents and for his side of the mountain. His leadership has been true, his word has been good, and his honor is impeccable. I want you to know that I hold this man in the highest regard, and we will miss you. Hopefully you won't be too far away. But anyway, he is a giant amongst the water community, and truly deserves all the honors that he's received. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, on behalf of the entire General Assembly, thank you for your service to Colorado. Further announcements and introductions. Representative Lentine.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to give you all one last chance to go look at the paintings of our former governors we have in room 271. I had said there were 5, but I guess there's 6. And you'll have to guess who most of them are, because I don't think they have been labeled. So we should have a contest. So please go take the opportunity to take a look at, peek at our history. And today is the last day. The sergeants will let you in the room. Thanks.
Representative Esker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm not sure if you knew it or not. It may have already been announced. If so, I apologize. It's Aerospace Day in the Capitol. Make sure you check out the first floor. I am honored to have special guests here today from the Southern Colorado Astronomical Society. I see we have one left on the floor. The rest had to go actually do their work while they're here. Thank you for being here, but I would be remiss if I didn't introduce at least Connor, Ben, and Alex, all students from Fountain International Magnet School who are here with their parents somewhere in the Capitol right now. They were on the floor earlier to celebrate Aerospace Day at the Capitol, so check it out.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I would like to introduce you to one of my newest friends, Zoe Augustine. She is here from Lewis Palmer Middle School. Zoe, will you please stand and be welcome to the chamber? Thank you.
Representative Willett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I have a newlywed couple to announce, Mr. and Mrs. Grant Clark, half of which is my daughter, Danielle Willett Clark, married on Friday.
Thank you, and welcome to the legislature. Representative Lundeen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to say hello to Zoe also. That's the middle school, the one Zoe attends that my children went through. Other students that we have with us today are students from Montclair School of Academics and Enrichment. Is that you folks up there now? There's 3 groups coming through. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching Civics in Action. We appreciate you visiting us. Have a great day. Take care.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I will be absent on Wednesday, the 21st, with permission of the Majority Leader. Thank you.
Further discussion, announcements, introductions. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess till 1 o'clock today.
All right, seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until 1 p.m. today.
you